Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I apologize for another late video. Sometimes I honestly wonder how other women with large families find time to do it all. Hi, my name is Sonia. I'm a homeschooling, homesteading, spirit-filled Torah-keeping mother of 10, and you are watching IHN Homestead. So currently, I have two gardens to work on now. This is our main garden that we are using in town at a friend of ours' home, and it is doing very, very well. It's slow coming because we got our garden in really late, so while other people are getting probably bountiful harvests right now, ours is just coming on, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Right now, we're getting plenty of cucumbers to keep me busy, and that's all I need right now. We also are getting a lot of Swiss chard and a lot of kale, and that always makes for some yummy meals. The other garden that I'm working at currently, a friend of ours, they are on vacation for a couple weeks, and they asked if we would also tend their garden while they were gone so that nothing spoiled, it didn't get overgrown, all that good stuff. So we are currently collecting produce from two gardens right now, and it's a really big blessing just to see how the Lord is providing for the family, bringing in the extra food for the harvest. Absolutely wonderful. But as you can see, this garden right now needs a lot of work. So we are going to put in these fence posts. This is my son Jacob and I. We're going to get these fence posts in and lined up. And we're doing this all around our tomato plants. Our tomatoes are getting way too big. I couldn't wait another day. I had to get these tied up. This is some wire mesh actually that you use for concrete. My husband had some left over. And what we're doing is we're going to just use some baling twine because we have cows and we have a lot of hay, so we always have baling twine. And so we're using the baling twine. We're going to tie up the fence to the post, and then we are going to, just a little bit at a time, start tying up the tomatoes. And what I like to do is I start at the base of the tomato and slowly work my way up in order to give it plenty of support. And I found that this method works really, really well. It allows great airflow through the tomatoes, and I always get a really good harvest. This that you're seeing right now is the harvest I got from both of the gardens, from the one in town and the one from my friends. And I need to get this stuff used up. I really do not want it to go bad in my refrigerator. So the first thing I am starting is I am going to make some pickle relish. So I am going to get all these pickles diced up as small as possible and just get them in this bowl for now while I go through all the rest of the produce and figure out what I want to do with everything else. Colossians 3:23 states that in whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And this is something that I really try to remind myself, that this work that I'm doing is not for anyone else. Yes, it's for my family because I want to serve my family and love my family. But I'm doing it also in respects to the Lord because this is what He has provided for my family. And I don't want to be that sluggard that just sits and lets it rot. So everything that we get in that comes into this home, I really try to work hard in getting it preserved, put away, or eaten within the week. And we just use it as part of our meals. I remember years ago when we lived on another residence, the garden that we had during the summer, that fed us, our lunches and our dinner meals most of the time. We've always been a lower income family, and so lower income family, but a lot of kids, sometimes doesn't always go well together. But the gardens, the Lord has always blessed us with our gardens, and the gardens have always been plentiful. And I thank the Lord so much for what He's given us. So what I'm doing here now is I am slicing up yellow squash, and I'm going to slice up some zucchini as well. And I'm going to do a vegetable bake to go with our dinner tonight. And all I'm doing is getting them chopped up nice and thin. I'm going to add some onion to it later and eventually some potatoes. And then what I'll do is throw a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil in there. I will top it with some salt and I'll bake it in the oven. And then eventually I'll pull it out. I'll add some slabs of butter and some Parmesan cheese, put it back in for a little bit. It always turns out really well. And even my picky eaters that really don't like squash, they'll eat this meal. And it's a blessing. It's wonderful. All right, I am almost done getting all the rest of that yellow squash and zucchini shredded up. I will be making a squash relish with this later on. My kids actually really enjoy it. So one of the things that I found at my friend's garden was that their corn was absolutely overrun with some random dill that reseeded itself. And the whole middle row of corn was not growing at all because it literally got squashed out by the dill. So we went through, well, I went through and I pulled up all this dill. You guys, this was a lot of dill. Too bad most of it had already gone to seed, or, just a little, it wasn't really fresh, but I thought, we could probably still use this. So I tried to find some nice pieces, take off the stuff I didn't want to use. And some of it I tied up, and I actually have it tied up in my kitchen right now. And some of it, I just pulled some of the greens off and bagged the rest of it. And I will find some way of using this dill in my recipes. I'll probably use it when I make the pickle relish with all those diced up cucumbers that you saw, in hopes that I can still get a nice a nice dill flavor in my pickle relish. Oh, Mary's working on some more flower pots and she wanted to show me, and I thought it was beautiful, so I thought I'd show you guys as well. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing. And mind you guys, this was not a cool day, and my front porch faces the south and it gets blistering sun all day long. It's hot. Something else that I had to check on this week were the bees. We recently had, again, a hive that split. So the hive with the 2 boxes on it now, that was the one that had initially split. And so we caught the swarm, though. We caught them, and we put the ones in this one. And I'm speaking with a gentleman who's been doing bees now for quite a few years, and he's actually going to be coming over a couple days after this video right here was taken, so that he can show us exactly what we're looking at with these hives. You can totally tell I'm an amateur trying to do this, but hey, I am learning. Oh my goodness, I'm learning. But this hive looked really well. I saw activity, I saw comb making. The only thing that I didn't see a lot of was the last 4 to 6 cells were not really full. And so I wasn't quite sure on that, because he told me that we really are going to have to try to push our bees to produce more comb so they can get through the winter, they can survive the winter. And so, but he had told me that when he came over, that everything in this box here looked really, really good. He found the queen, she was healthy. He showed us how to look for the eggs, and we could see just a single little egg in each cell. It was super neat, just how informative he was and the things that he showed us. So now my husband and I have a bit of a better understanding and a better grasp. I'm one of those people, I can watch a video, I can read books, but the best way I learn is to actually see somebody do it, like hands-on with me, and I retain the information a lot better that way as well. So this next one, if you guys see all that comb in between there, so I found out that that's really not the greatest thing. It's because we had too much space, and what the gentleman did is he actually took off that extra comb and gave it to us. And we're going to eventually, when we need to, melt that down into wax, and then dip some of our trays in there so that the bees will work on it a lot easier later on when we have to add new ones in. But yes, very active. And these bees, I know they're swarming everywhere, but they weren't attacking me. They were happy bees, if you want to call them that. And I was actually able to see a little bits of honey here and there on these frames, and it was really exciting. It's such a neat thing to learn and see how these bees form colonies and how they grow and multiply, and how everybody has their own specific job. Look at that one. That one was really neat. Actually, I think that was the one that the queen was on. Possibly. I don't remember, but I think that was the one was it. But anyways, we're going to get the lid back on and leave these bees alone. And then we're going to start on the box with the 2. And guess what? It had been over a week and they did not move into that top box, and I couldn't figure out why. But if you look at them, I thought when I first saw them, hey, this is great. There's a lot of activity. And this last frame here was so heavy, I could barely pick it up. It was so full of honey. And when I did pick it up, the honey just started pouring off of it. So I tried to put it back in as best as possible. And so I'm thinking in my mind that, oh, this hive is actually doing really, really well. And no, they're not. Come to find out, they are queenless. And when the gentleman was here checking the hives, he did not have any protective gear on. And that first box that you saw me doing, I mean, he never got stung once. He caught the queen barehanded. I mean, it was just really fascinating. He gets over to this hive. He uses the smoker, smokes them down, starts, getting into the hive so he could see what was going on. And boy, out of nowhere, he just started getting hit by all these bees. And he said that's what happens when they're queenless. So you saw that mess, all that greenery. We decided that it's about time we get it cleaned out. My daughter Mary was really wanting to make it beautiful with flowers and flowery bushes. And since we've got the bees, I thought, you know what? Great. Let's give them some more food, some pollen, and we'll really get our yard put together nice. Not just for the bees, obviously, but for us as well. So we all got in here and we all started working, and there was just tons of this flowering ivy everywhere. So a lot of it was easy to pull up. We also had some stone crop in here, so we didn't take the stone crops out. I really like stone crop. I think they're very pretty. My son Jacob started chopping away at some of the old bushes that are just overgrown and ugly looking. And so we got some of those out, and we really worked hard as a family pulling all this stuff out. And you know what? We actually had a lot of fun. The kids really enjoyed it. We had the wheelbarrow, and we were putting in all the stuff with the wheelbarrow and wheeling the wheelbarrow out. We just decided we'd probably just burn it all and just to get rid of it. So we started a fire in the driveway next to where we were working. Oh my goodness, Adam. And so we had a fire going. The kids were playing, and everybody was having a great time, especially Adam. He always has fun when the camera's out, I guess. But anyways, and so yeah, we just pulling everything out. We got it to where you could see the majority of the rock that was underneath. And so the next step was to start pulling out all those rocks. So if you guys look, there's a whole bunch of rock all underneath there. And so we're just going to pick up the rest of that, the brush and stuff that we pulled out. And then we are going to take some 5-gallon buckets, and we're just going to sit down and start filling buckets. And then once we got a bucket full to the point that we could still carry it, we would take those buckets over to a small trailer, and we would dump it in the trailer. And then we took all those stones and we were dumping them into an area in our yard that was lower where there's a lot of water. It's where the bushes line our driveway. So we thought we would try to fill that area up a little bit with the stone. And while we were doing that, we had to have some fun because Norman's out there, and so is Miss Rebecca. And so Jacob went ahead and started pushing him on our little go-kart. Now, this thing doesn't run yet. We need to get a new motor for it, but the kids still love playing in it. And once we get done with that, we will get all of our flowers in. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that project is going, because it is going to take us some time to get it all done. And then I remembered I had garlic out here, guys. If you can see, it is way too dead. I should have pulled this a long time ago, but I kept forgetting, or something else would come up and I would tell myself, oh, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. Well, later finally came over a week later. A week too late. So I think what I'm going to have to do is probably use this garlic up right away. I don't think it's good to store anymore. I think it's lost too much of its outer layers to store in my basement, but we'll see. I'll just keep an eye on it and use it as needed. But what I decided to do is I've always wanted to make that garlic honey syrup ferment thingy that people talk about. That's supposed to be really good for your immune system, really good for when you get sick in the winter, to take a teaspoon of it. And so I thought, you know what, that's what I'll do first. So I found all the really small bulbs of garlic, the ones that didn't grow very well, and I'm going to use those up first. I'm going to put about 1 cup of lightly smashed garlic in a pint jar, and then put about another cup of honey, at least enough to cover up the garlic. I'll get a lid on them and I will put them away, and we'll check them here in a couple weeks and see what happens. So I know I already said that this garlic honey ferment is really great for your immune system, but it's also great for soothing that sore throat in the winter. It also has a lot of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits. It's great for your heart health. We've known for years, research has shown that garlic is really, really great for your heart. And it's also really well for your digestive health. And then I found out when I was doing some research that the fermentation process also increases the potency of the honey's health benefits by activating enzymes and producing beneficial probiotics. I'm thinking probiotics, oh yeah, kind of like the water kefirs that we've been making and the kvassas that we've been making, great probiotics. You know, I noticed that during the summer, we have all these great drinks and things that we do because we have the abundance of the produce around us. But what about in the winter? You know, there's so much that changes from summer to winter, obviously, not just with the weather, but also with what we do as a society. We're not outside moving around a lot. We're not getting the fresh air. We're not getting the sunshine. You know, our houses aren't getting aired out with, letting the fresh air blow through the houses. So there's just a lot more concern. You know, that's why people seem to get more sick during the winter. Also, look at all the holidays that are over the winter and the amount of sweets and candies and things that people consume from those who might celebrate Halloween. So from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas and then into Easter, so much stuff. And so me trying to do this, I'm trying to find a way to continue giving my children healthy things, not just in the summer, but all throughout the year. Well, you guys, that is it for this week's video. I really hope you enjoyed the time that you got to spend with my family. Remember, Colossians 3:23 states, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men." Thank you so much for watching. I pray you a blessed week. God bless you.